Okay, Radhika, you wanted to come in? Yes, please.
Right, Congress always questions timing. They ask, why now? We must remember that the census was delayed due to the pandemic. And any process that has to be
Radhika, the voting has started. I'm just keeping you informed that the voting has started. That's taking place in the parliament. So, because it's a division, just for my viewers, this is not a voice vote. This is a constitutional amendment bill. Constitutional amendment bill requires division on the floor of the house. That is why the galleries were clear by the speaker. 489 members of parliament have voted. This is the picture. So the ayes 278, noes 211, abstention 0. So this is the division number 1. Yes, Radhika, please complete.
No, so just to go back to what I was saying, talking about the consensus. The consensus was delayed due to the pandemic, and any process that must take place must be legally and constitutionally aligned. So Congress only wants shortcuts. Whereas we, the BJP, we want durable reforms. And talking about Mr. Rahul Gandhi saying, do it today or do it tomorrow, look at the amount of time they took over the Shah Banu case. And why is it that we were the ones who passed the triple talaq bill? You know, I'm sorry, I find it very difficult to come out with sane arguments against the Congress. And now let us look at the OBC angle. And the OBC angle has to be considered and looked through the lens of the Bharatiya Janata Party. BJP believes in true OBC empowerment. And remember, we have a Prime Minister who is from an OBC background himself. And we, the BJP, have the highest OBC representation in the cabinet as well as in governance. And within the OBC category, if I have to say, women will benefit proportionately after delimitation. And BJP is always open to discussions, but wants constitutional clarity, not this chaos that Congress and its allies and others constantly weaponize. And Congress historically has ignored the caste census implementation. This is no secret to anybody. OBC, let us say, if there is to be OBC commissions, they were weakened during their rule. So Congress uses OBC as a slogan, but BJP intends to deliver OBCs as stakeholders. And imagine how the OBCs, the tribals, the backwards, whoever will benefit. We are all women. You know, we manage households. The moment this comes into action and play, we will have women reporting to women, telling us what their needs are. When they are represented by women, women will implement their changes, their requests, and there will be very fast-track solutions to whatever issues are brought through by the women for these women. And whilst I'm talking about this, I bring in the South India issue. Congress is bringing in the South India issue all the time, and every debate I go to, I realize some comment or the other is made on it. And let me assure the whole country, as a BJP spokesperson, that delimitation,
I'm sorry, I have to break that. Radhika, I'm really sorry to stop you. The bill has failed to pass the muster. It's 278 for, 211 who were against it. There were no abstentions right now. So the bill has failed to get two-third majority. Let me just take comments from Avni Bansal. Radhika, then I'm going to come to you and then open the conversation to other panelists. Avni.
Madam, please answer my question. You went on and on about OBC. Did this government clarify whether in the proposed amendment bill that has just failed, was there going to be any reservation for OBC women or for Dalit women? That is a question the opposition kept asking for the last 2 days. Can you enlighten the audience and tell us whether in the amendment bill there was any provision for OBC? That was a demand for us. By simply saying, oh, Congress did this, Congress did that, slogans, please answer the questions. You're talking about time. We're asking you a simple question. In the existing number of member of parliaments, you can introduce 33% women reservation today. So are you saying that there will be no 33% women reservation unless we don't increase the size of the seats and increase the number of members of parliament? Is that your position? And secondly, did the proposed bill say anything about Dalit women or OBC women? Please answer these two questions without giving speeches. I'm asking pointed questions, but I'm not...
Avni, let me go across to the input editor of News9. Brijesh, let's break down what's happening inside the parliament. The divisions have started.
Well, I think, the division one, which we have been given to believe is the Nari Shakti bill, has failed to pass the muster of the numbers, because what we have been given to understand is that out of 489 member of parliament, 278 have voted for the bill, for the division one, and 211 have voted against it. Now, out of 489, you require, since it's a constitutional amendment bill, you require 326 number for it to scrape through, but this has not happened. So division one is very clear that has failed to pass the muster, has failed to get the required 2/3 majority, and it's very clear that that the entire
The difference is of 48 MPs. The difference is only 48 MPs right now.
But see, it's not the question of what is the difference. The thing is that, for this to pass, you don't have to have more than 50%. You have to have 2/3 majority. And the 2/3 majority is out of 543, you require 360, and out of 489, you require 326. Now, the number is 278. So, yeah, it has fallen by a pretty substantial number of a member of parliament. And the fact of the matter also is, yeah.
What I want to ask you, Brijesh, is when this was very, very clear, why did you think that the BJP went ahead with it?
Honestly speaking, other than the fact that they would want to use this in the election, or rather, to drive home the point that the opposition is anti-women and they are not going to support women on this important bill. I honestly don't think that that the government was unaware of the fact that that they did not have the numbers, and they literally wanted to force the hand. They thought that the opposition will chicken out in the last moment, afraid of being branded as anti-women, and this is something which no party wanted to be seen as. But if you look at the way the conversation has panned out in the in last since yesterday morning till when Home Minister Amit Shah finished his speech, it's very clear that the opposition was going to have none of it, and they have made it very clear, speaker after speaker, that there was no need for this particular bill. There was no need to rush through this bill, as it's an extremely important bill. And the government would have made an outreach to the opposition members and gone it through a proper procedure rather than this. So it is very clear that that the opposition this time decided that they are going to call the government bluff, and the numbers are very, very clearly indicative of the fact that that they have failed to do so. But the government would, I would say that would use this, because if you remember, the Prime Minister in his speech said that if anybody votes against this bill would be seen as anti-women. Today also he did a couple of tweets in which there were reports of some sort of deliberation within the government whether they can go in for some sort of modification of the bill. The two tweets by the Prime Minister clearly put paid to all of those information which was travelling around, and said that they are going to go for vote. The second tweet of the Prime Minister very clearly said that that whenever you're going to go for vote, irrespective of the party, think of your brother, think of your mother, think of your sister. So it is very clear that the BJP was trying to pin down the opposition on the point that that if you're going to vote against it, you will be seen as anti-women as far as this election is concerned. So I think the BJP will oppose this, will definitely try to drive home the point that the opposition have ganged up together to defeat the bill which the BJP wanted to bring.
Brijesh, let me go across to my other panelists, but meanwhile, you need to break this news. Why is Prime Minister, the news is coming that Prime Minister may address NDA parliamentarians or, NDA members once the voting is over. So there will be a message from the Prime Minister. I don't know whether it's with cameras inside, or because it will take most likely in the Parliament annexee, so the camera is not kept there. But if he chooses to go for a video address, then we are looking for a long night, Brijesh.
Well, absolutely, and I think what is going to happen is it's like like doubling down on the message, because number-wise they were very clear about this, and after the initial back and forth between some opposition parties, they all decided to pull in their might and make sure that the bill is not passed, and this is exactly what has happened, at least what we have been given to understand till now. As we speak, the Prime Minister would want to drive home the point that the opposition is anti-women and all, but the opposition parties have also, from day one, have stood up and said that when you brought the women reservation bill, we all wholeheartedly supported it. It was a unanimous call to get the bill. Now, what was the point of rushing through an amendment at this crucial juncture when the election in Tamil Nadu is on 23rd and first phase of polling in West Bengal is on 23rd? So, both. This was the big reason why the opposition was very steadfast and united in this.
I'm also being joined by Momita Chakrabarti. Momita, I'm sorry I kept you waiting for long. Your opening comments. Can you please unmute yourself, Momita?
See, all I know that India is growing rapidly. So as of now, if we look into the data, then as of now, as per 2026 January, women's representations in India, the parliaments worldwide stands at approximately 27.5%. But in the 18th Lok Sabha, there are currently 74 women members of parliament, which is about 13.6% of the total seats. So how far behind the global average we are? This means India is lagging behind the global average by roughly 13.9% points. In the simple terms, while globally there are about 28 women in every 100 parliaments, in India there are only around 40. So despite being the world's largest democracy, India still remains below the global average when it comes to the women representation. So where did the women's reservation bill can take in India? Target of 33% reservation was implemented. The women's reservation bill will reserve 33% of seats in Lok Sabha and state legislative assemblies for women. So India will move above the global average. Jumping from 13.6 to 33% would mean India surpass the global average of 27.5%. So stronger global image, India would emerge not just as the largest democracy, but also a women-inclusive democracy on the global stage. Impact on policy making with greater representation of women. Issues like education, healthcare, women's safety, nutrition, and child welfare are likely to receive stronger attention. So India's position on the global stage, this bill could have positioned India as a nation that is not only just focused on the development, but also on inclusive leadership.
Across to Lok Sabha. Momita, please. I'm sorry, because this is like a live development.
कुल सदस्य संख्या के बहुमत द्वारा तथा सभा के उपस्थित और मत देने वाले सदस्यों के कम से कम 2/3 बहुमत द्वारा पारित नहीं हुआ। अब इस संविधान संशोधन पर विधेयक पर आगे की कार्रवाई करना संभव नहीं है। अतः संघ राज्य क्षेत्र विधि संशोधन विधेयक 2026 तथा परिसीमन विधेयक 2026 के संबंध में आगे की कार्रवाई पर निर्णय लेना है। माननीय संसदीय कार्य मंत्री जी।
Honorable Speaker, sir, besides the Constitution 131st Amendment Bill, we have two other bills, namely the Union Territories Laws Amendment Bill 26 and the Delimitation Bill 2026, which are intrinsically interrelated with the Constitution 131st Bill. So it cannot be viewed from the isolation. इस दृष्टि से माननीय सभापति महोदय, जो नतीजा आया है, ये इतना ऐतिहासिक और महत्वपूर्ण बिल पर देश का महिलाओं को अब सम्मान अधिकार देने का जो बिल है, उसको विपक्ष ने साथ नहीं दिया। बहुत खेद की बात है और इस ऐतिहासिक पल को आप अपना एक मौका था, आपने गंवाया है। आदरणीय नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में महिलाओं को जो सम्मान देने का, अधिकार देने का हमारा अभियान जारी रहेगा और हम अधिकार देके ही रहेंगे आगे।
अब सभा की कार्रवाई
आगे दो शेष जो बिल्स है उसको आगे नहीं बढ़ाने का मैं अनुरोध करता हूं।
सभा की कार्रवाई कल दिनांक 18 अप्रैल 2026 को प्रातः 11 बजे तक के लिए स्थगित की
If you have heard the speaker, they have decided not to introduce the Union Territory Bill. They have decided not to introduce delimitation bill. The bill has fallen in the House. Brijesh.
Well, absolutely. And I think, as we have been discussing in the newsroom when the voting was about to take place, the fact is that all of these bills were intertwined. It was not like as if there were three isolated bills or constitutional amendment which the government wanted to push. So falling of one particular bill it means that the entire bill, all the three which are intertwined, they have fallen. What we have also given to understand is that the 489, the number which was being initially told to us, has risen to some 523. So the number of the votes required for 2/3 was somewhere in the range of 350. So it is very clear that the government knew, and it'll be very interesting, Karthikeya, from tomorrow onwards. I would see the Bharatiya Janata Party as well as other allied partners. They would be talking about this particular bill. They would be trying to drive home the point that the entire opposition is anti-women, and this is the reason why they have made sure that the bill could not get passed in the Lok Sabha. But opposition this time, Karthikeya, is equally divided. Honestly speaking, I don't know when was the last time, despite the India Alliance and all being there, I have not seen the last time when the opposition has been so united in their opposition to this particular bill. And this is the reason why there's no absent MPs, and there have been no cross voting whatsoever, fear of which was there as far as the way it has happened in the past. So right now, as the numbers are flashing on the screen, Karthikeya, that number is approximately 500 plus member of parliaments. They have voted for this bill, and the BJP-led NDA has failed to total 528, 298 ayes and 230 no. So it is very clear that they required somewhere in the range of 350 votes to get 2/3 majority, and they have failed to get it. Karthikeya?
Absolutely. So, Momita, your comments, I interrupted you, and then I'll go to Dr. Nimmi Rastogi. She has been very patiently waiting.
Really shocked to see that how anti-women behavior is coming from the entire opposition. So I'm really afraid if in 2029, if by any chance BJP, the other party comes in power, I don't understand how we will face the entire society. That is really scary. But alongside that, I would like to remind a few things from the Congress era. So during Congress era, several important steps were taken in favor to women, like Hindu Code Bills 1950. These reforms significantly expand the rights of Hindu women in matters of marriage, heritage and property. Then Dowry Prohibition Act 1961. Then Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005. Then Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act 2013. Then now why they are so against when there was bill was, the try was there to activate the 33% women reservation thing. So this is really disturbing for me to face this thing. I'm really out of my words now, so I don't have anything to say.
Okay.
Right now.
Dr. Nimmi Rastogi.
So the crux of the matter is that we've just stepped back from the threshold of passing some iconic bill which could have changed the destiny of the country, which still can. But the onus of this failure lies entirely on the shoulders of Bharatiya Janata Party, because they put a huge conditionality that was incongruous. Right, so they cannot blame it on opposition, because opposition's job is to examine the checks and balances. Opposition's job is to not let a structural flaw incorporated into such a huge fundamental bill. So it is this kintu parantu done by Modi ji and Amit Shah ji that had led to its failure. Otherwise, there was complete unanimity on this from the opposition side, because everybody wanted it to go through. But I'm sorry, BJP spoiled your game.
Okay, Radhika. I'm going by the people who want to speak, you see. So this time, please, you'll have to raise your hands.
Certainly, I'll say it and then I'll move away because I've got another show to attend to. Okay. So as BJP, I'll say we fully respect the constitutional requirements of a 2/3 majority. This government, of course, believes in procedure, not bulldozing, legislation, so to say. Democracy has, of course, spoken through numbers, which we accept, and we respect that. Now, I would call it a missed opportunity caused by opposition unity, especially on women's reservation and any structural reform we were trying to pass. Those who couldn't bring this reform in 60 years have now come together to block it. And they were not opposing the idea. They were just opposing the government. And this is where women get to lose. They chose vote bank politics over women's empowerment. And this is going to come to bite them in times to come, because women of this country were so looking forward to the passing of this bill. Today, women are aspirational in politics too. We have encouraged women to come into politics. Educated women are coming into politics. Women from rural households have aspirations, and the failure to get a majority is really going to harm every political party. And when reform threatens their politics, Congress always hits their brakes. And let me also tell you that I'll just finish with this, that for us, we wanted a legally framed sort of framework, including the OBC considerations. And opposition, what did they do? They raised slogans, but ultimately blocked the bill itself. And it's a shameful day for women in this country. It is a shame for India in the eyes of the international community.
I also need to pass the baton. You have to understand.
And leave the program.
Okay. No, absolutely. Please. Namaskar. Avni. Then I'll come to you, Momita. Avni. I'll come to you.
My simple request through your platform to BJP, to Mr. Modi, to the Home Minister is this: please pass and put the women reservation in effect today. We don't have to have an expanded parliament and more members for 33% reservation of women to be provided. In the existing members of parliament, you don't need a 2/3 majority. 2023, everybody has passed the bill. Please pass and put the 33% reservation for women in the existing.
और मैं अभी कह रहा हूं, प्रधानमंत्री से कह रहा हूं, अगर आप महिला बिल चाहते हैं, 2023 का महिला बिल निकालिए, उसका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन आज से करिए, और पूरा का पूरा ऑपोजिशन 100% आपको समर्थन देगा, और महिला बिल हम इमीडिएट इम्प्लीमेंटेशन करा देंगे. थैंक यू.
16 का जिक्र आपने किया था, क्या है?
देखा मोदी जी का चेहरा देखा आपने?
16 का क्या मतलब है?
So Rahul Gandhi, the Congress stated position. Yes, Advocate Avni Bansal. Yeah, please.
Let me just finish by saying that what you're going to see now is a further, if I may say, लोमड़ी अपने जाल में फंस गई है. ठीक है, उसने जो जाल बिछाया था उसमें फंस गई है, और अब आपको लोमड़ी की
ओबीसी शामिल भी नहीं है, तो ये मुमकिन ही नहीं था कि ये बिल पारित हो. और मेरे ख्याल से हमारे देश की लोकतंत्र के लिए, हमारे देश की अखंडता के लिए ये एक बहुत बड़ी जीत है.
कांग्रेस की क्या रणनीति है?
ये क्या कहेंगे? महिला सरकार बार-बार ये कह रही है कि महिला विरोधी चेहरा कांग्रेस का.
एंटी वुमेन माइंडसेट ऑफ
महिला विरोधी माइंडसेट की बात कह रहे हैं, जो गृह मंत्री ने भी बोला. महिला विरोधी माइंडसेट की वो कह रहे हैं जिन्होंने हाथरस में कुछ नहीं किया, जिन्होंने उन्नाव में कुछ नहीं किया, जिन्होंने मणिपुर की महिलाओं के लिए कुछ नहीं किया, जिन्होंने खिलाड़ियों के लिए कुछ नहीं कहा. ये कह रहे हैं कि हमारा विरोधी माइंडसेट है महिलाओं का.
That was. I'm sorry, Avni. I'm sorry. Please go ahead.
Finish my point. What you're going to see starting now on media and everywhere else is BJP and every single leader of BJP crying foul, saying and making this a further binary. That Congress is anti-women and BJP is also pro-women. And that is what they wanted from the start. They never wanted women reservation. They never wanted these bills to pass through. They just wanted to play to the public gallery. They have gotten extremely good at it. Anybody who hears Amit Shah's speech will be like, wow. Okay. But the fact is, please respond to our demand. If you are serious about women reservation, implemented today.
Okay.
Otherwise, anything else that you do are false tears, crocodile.
Vinita, you wanted to come in?
Yeah, so it's extremely unfortunate and very, very sad that this bill has, failed in the altar of a very, very regressive opposition, I would say. And this was a historic moment where women, so many women in their lifetimes could see them coming to Parliament. And now, when are they going to pass this bill? See, this bill is always linked to delimitation. It's linked to a fresh census being conducted. Now we'll have to wait for God knows how many years for the census to be completed and then a delimitation done. It's not going to be happening before the next Lok Sabha. They have actually killed the dreams of so many women aspirant politicians and aspirant parliamentarians. It's extremely sad. I think, in this platform, I would like to express my grief over this, regressive act by the, such regressive elements in the parliament. Extremely sad. In the name of constitution, in the name of, delimitation, you've actually killed a historic bill which could have put women in the global hotspot, as the fellow panelists mentioned just now. Extremely sad.
Okay, Momita, you had been raising your hand for long. Momita.
I was really again surprised to see how happy were those grandchildren of Gandhi Parivar, because they are the product of Congress politics. I mean, they're the product of Parivarik family politics. So they will not understand how the dream can be broken of so many women, just right, ma'am said. Yeah, so talking about the OBC, why OBC was not listed, and also see, OBC representation in today's India is not absent at all. In many regions, it is politically dominant. In the union cabinet itself, there are roughly 25 to 30 OBC ministers, close to around 40%, when OBCs are already present at the core of the political power. Creating dedicated space for women becomes even more urgent. At the panchayat and municipal levels, there is already up to 50% reservation for women. Within that framework, OBC women are accessing representation through their existing caste quotas. Nobody is even talking about it. And if I give you the example, then states like Bihar, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan have a significant number of OBC women serving as the pradhans.
Okay, but the entire politics is about OBC, Brijesh, In fact, I would say there's an OBCification of the Indian politics, unescapable part of the lay of the land. I don't know whether it's the politically right things to say or not. Just look at the map of the chief ministers.
Oh, absolutely. I think, Karthike, 2014, post-2014, you saw the biggest transformation within the BJP itself. From a Brahman Baniya party to the OBCization of BJP politics. It was a complete, change of the way we looked at it. And the fact of the matter is that, that thing is there. I mean, you cannot deny it. It's understandable that that if you belong to a particular party or particular ideology, and you have your whether you feel sad by this missed historic opportunity, or many people felt that there was no need for this to be bulldozed, and the government of India notified the 2023 women reservation bill only last evening. So I mean, saying there are various ways this can be worked out, and this should have been worked out much before than the current impasse. But the new reality is that what we used to hear, what we used to see seeping in is now the biggest front. Jitki hissedari, uski utni bhagedari, and the population or the number of people are the one who is going to decide it, and it is a sad reality or happy reality, whichever way you want to look at it. That is the new reality which is staring at your face, and no political party, starting with BJP downwards, can ignore this, and they can only ignore it at their own peril.
Absolutely, Dr. Nimi Rastogi. And in studio, my colleague Kabir Naqvi joins me. Kabir, I'm passing the baton to you. Kabir, before we move forward, Dr. Nimi Rastogi, do you think that delimitation essentially derailed this entire thing? Delimitation was at the heart of the issue.
Karthike, only the political naive would have believed that Bharatiya Janata Party really wanted to push through this bill. Rest, everybody knew that it's just a game plan, it's just a spectacle, that they are playing it in front of...
Are you saying that? Are you saying what Brijesh is saying, that it's the entire idea to create a sort of a narrative till 2029 for a women voter base which cuts across class, caste and religion, something which Nitish Kumar did 20 years ago in Bihar? And see the dividend it pays BJP or the NDA today.
Yeah, what I'm saying is they knew that they will not be able to push this through with the conditions that they put, the conditions which were impossible to be agreed upon by the opposition. So now they'll cry foul and they'll kind of blame opposition, but it's all crocodile's tears. They knew that this is not going to get through, especially with the huge limitation